Welcome, seekers of meaning and lovers of layered stories, to an installment that may change how we interpret the private storms behind public smiles. Welcome to your home for depth and exclusives, secrets behind the stars. In a world that never stops refreshing, in feeds that refuse to sleep, few things make more noise than sudden quiet. And the hush gathered around Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu recently has thundered across Turkish showbiz. We're used to their brightness, that quick wit, the mischievous spark when they lock eyes in interviews, the way even a casual photo of them can ignite an entire week's worth of chatter. Then, without warning, the lights dimmed. The couple's pages fell still, their chairs sat empty at events where they were expected guests, and space opened where their presence had been constant. Concern grew, then confusion, then theories as wild as rumors can carry. Were we watching a fracture we didn't want to name, or a calculated step back so they could breathe as fully as themselves, beyond the caricatures famed sketches around real people? Before we enter the heart of the night when a single call seemed to press pause on time, and the project that now promises to redefine how the world sees them, an invitation. If you value narrative that treats artists like human beings with inner weather and not only headlines, subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars. Ring the bell so this carefully paced pulse reaches you the moment it beats. And if you'd like to stand with us as pillars of this work and unlock the notes we only share with our closest circle, tap join right now. Your support lets us ask better questions, travel toward the truth, and approach it with the patience it deserves. Now keep still, and listen closely, because we are about to map the dawn after a chosen dark. The retreat of Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu was not a glitch in the machine that runs their careers, it was a decision, deliberate and clear as a door closing. After years under relentless lenses, deflecting gossip about dinners, glances, co-stars, contracts, the endless dissection of every micro-expression, they chose a boundary. Peace, they decided, had a price, and for once they were willing to pay it. They slid their phones into airplane mode, dimmed their calendars to the bare minimum, and narrowed conversation to a few names who had known them before all of this. What many tagged the calm before the storm revealed itself to be a season of growing roots. While panels speculated and reels recycled the same 10 seconds of footage, they chose to inhabit their days without performance, to wake up without an audience, to rediscover the pace of a morning that doesn't expect a caption. Inside production corridors, word drifted like a rumor of weather. A shelved campaign here, an interview politely declined there, private refusals that added up to a public absence. Unusual, yes, for a pair as bankable as they are, but each no carved out space for a bigger yes to come. They weren't stalling. They were waiting. Not for the safest offer or the highest fee, but for a frequency that would steady their compasses. A sign. A doorway that opened towards something they could believe in without apology. And then, deep in the hour when the city is quiet enough to hear your own breath, came the unanticipated ring. Not a manager tying up loose ends. Not a brand wanting a twinned photo. A voice that had belonged to an older chapter, returning with keys to the next. Over an hour spilled into more, the conversation looping through memories and confessions and that fragile, rare honesty people only risk when they are tired of protecting versions of themselves that no longer hold. One detail we kept hearing from those close to them: when the call ended, they stayed still beside each other, no performance to cure it, no press release to shape, only the salt of relief. Not the sting of defeat, a cleansing. And in that silence, one of them said, almost to the room and not to the other, when you are sure the floor has given way, one call can lay a bridge you didn't know was waiting. That sentence didn't solve everything. It did, however, mark a shift. It planted the first brick in a house they'd been designing in private, one that could hold the weight of their next season. Who called, and what truth crossed the line? The mystery feeds the myth, and we won't break what they clearly wish to keep intact. The effects, though, are public. Doors began aligning. The air around them changed. A rhythm settled that felt intentional, measured, unhurried. Let's take a breath here, family of secrets behind the stars. Do you believe that a person, or a couple, sometimes must touch quiet so absolute it scares them to truly begin again? Has one call, one message, one piece of unexpected news rearranged your life with the speed of a storm clearing? We want to read your stories. Leave your thoughts below. If you feel this careful approach matters in a world of hot takes, press like. If you want this kind of work to keep breathing, join is your way into our closest conversations. Now for the revelation they guarded with unusual vigilance. According to the most reliable murmurs we were able to confirm, the surprise was not a light comedy or a safe melodrama mapped to a familiar formula. It was bigger, darker, riskier, a sweeping international project anchored in character rather than spectacle. Elçin will inhabit a woman shaped by old wounds she no longer fears to face, a figure whose spine was forged in the aftermath of disappointments many would hide, whose grace is not docile but disciplined. Opposite her, Barış will take on a role steeped in moral gray, an architect of his own compromises who must learn, late, but not too late, that the price of survival without integrity is a life that hollows from the inside out. Their characters will meet not as easy halves completing each other, but as whole storms colliding, forcing a reckoning no one can dodge. This isn't a pivot for attention. It is a statement of intent. The project will pull them beyond the borders they have long called home. New languages in their ears. New streets under their shoes. London, perhaps, for the opening frames. Berlin or Madrid for the middle act. Sets that demand chilly dawns and long nights, rooms where silence is a line and stillness is an action. Dialect work, physical preparation, a new endurance for the kind of scenes that don't ask for tears but produce them anyway. It is not merely a change of genre. It is a change of life. A leap away from the comfort of easy victories toward the uneasy joy of craft. The audience will feel it. More importantly, they will feel it. One of the pillars holding up this shift is a new philosophy spoken softly, but carried like a banner against the wind. In a meeting with their tightest circle, people who will never appear in a headline, they drew a line. We have been living with the fallout of other people's choices long enough. We are ready to own the cost of our own. It wasn't said for effect. It was an inventory taken at a kitchen table, an agreement to choose their path even when the way looks steeper. For too long, the narrative spun around them like a carousel, old love stories hurled into the present, commentary stuck on loop, decisions framed as reactions to someone else's plan. That couple evaporated in the quiet. The pair we see now speaks more through action than explanation. They keep their counsel. They choose, then they walk, and they accept that autonomy under fame is a luxury they must buy again and again. Family steadied the transformation. After the call and the first serious talks with producers, there was a meeting that mattered more than any boardroom, Elçin's evening with her mother. We pictured it not because cameras were there, they were not, but because the people present said a softness returned to her shoulders as the words finally came. I don't have to prove strength anymore, she admitted, through tears that belonged as much to relief as to sorrow. I can just be, and that will be enough. In that one sentence, a long internal duel exhaled. The forgiveness of family is not a headline. It is a bomb, and those close to them say you can see its trace in her quiet now, the way she pauses before she speaks, the way the smile reaches her eyes without straining. Barış also slipped into the warmth of his own family's rooms, where stories passed like bread and laughter did what it always does, mended what could be mended and blessed what needed to be let go. In those spaces, past and future shook hands. Weeks slid by without a post, every day of silence daring the public to invent another ending. Then, the break. One image. No filters fighting for attention. Morning light, a frame that looked almost accidental, the two of them neither performing nor hiding. One word beneath it, beginning. We didn't read it as a tease, not a breadcrumb to stir the pot. It felt like a steady heartbeat restarting. Within minutes, the current rushed in, messages, theories, joy, relief, the entire arc of a fandom reacting in real time. But most recognized the core truth: this wasn't a date on a calendar. It was a declaration of a state of being. This is the version of Barış and Elçin that does not clap back at noise, does not measure their day by the scale of applause. It is the version that understands the power of withholding, of saying less and meaning more. If a boundary can be beautiful, they have drawn one. Before we turn the final page of this chapter, a sincere thank you. Secrets Behind the Stars exists because you let us take our time, because you ask for nuance, because you understand that the loudest story is rarely the truest one. If you haven't joined our membership yet, you are missing the dossiers we assemble with care and the conversations we hold off camera. The join button is how we remain independent enough to get it right. It funds the tickets, the calls, the hours documents require. It keeps this space free of the rush that corrodes good work. Tap join, and hold your place in the circle. Where does this road lead? To a future drawn with sharper lines. We are no longer watching two performers who merely say what's on the page. We are watching two authors of their lives, unafraid to revise. The old shadows won't vanish, but they will thin as they walk forward with a pace they set themselves. They don't move now to collect claps. They move to feel proud as they look back at the footprints only they will ever fully understand. 2026 will test them. The international tour attached to this project, the press, the screenings, the inevitable friction of cultures and calendars, will either confirm this philosophy or break it. We believe it will confirm it. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we will be there, parsing the choices, listening for the small signals that reveal the big truths. For those who have followed every rumor, feared the worst, hoped for the best, let this be a lesson in what a pause can hold. Sometimes silence isn't absence. It is a greenhouse. Seeds don't grow in a storm. They ask for stillness. And in that stillness, something truer can take root. Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu have shown us the difference between hiding and resting, between being quiet and going mute. They chose rest. They chose quiet. From here, the sound we hear is their work speaking for them. Thank you for staying to the end of this long, careful look at their present and near future. If any part of this story made you stop and think about your own beginnings, let us know in the comments. Like this video if you want more slow journalism in a fast world. Share it with someone who loves them. And if you can, join our members' circle. Your support keeps the flame of Secrets Behind the Stars lit, steady and warm. Until the next exclusive, we will be listening, gathering, and returning with the truth carried gently in both hands.